afternoon, and good evening. This is Formidable, and this is Formcast. A small episode today, a short one, but first, an apology. I'm sorry for not uploading last week's episode on YouTube. When I went to edit it, it just looked like I had mustard all over my face. To the point where I literally went to the bathroom afterwards when I was looking at this video trying to edit it and thinking I had mustard all over my face, but I didn't. So I think something with the camera, the lighting, I don't know, something happened where it looked like I had blotches of yellow. It looked like I was jaundiced almost. So needless to say, no video of last week's episode on YouTube. However, it is still up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so I appreciate y'all listening to that one. Now today, pretty short one. I got a lot of things to do today. Things that are not even like stream related, but just like, life things, And I got a lot to get done. So today, I just literally wanted to bring to everyone's attention that I have finally played Dead by Daylight. Yes, I finally played Dead by Daylight. DBD. The so famous game of cat and mouse. Run away from a killer, become a survivor, become the killer yourself, and go chase everybody else. At the end of the day, a lot of people love the game. I want to talk about it for a real quick second here as a first-time experience. The game can become a little dull after time. Now, everyone says, and everyone said before I started, it's a really great game with certain people, with the right people. It's a good game with as long as you got a good friend group and all that kind of stuff. I totally get why, because you get to chase around each other and help each other out and all that kind of stuff, and you know each other and you get to talk in Discord. Now, the game has no game chat, which I think is bonkers. So you can't even like have the conversation in the game. So unless you're playing like Discord or some form of other voice chat with your friends while playing, you can't talk to anybody. So if you're playing solo queue on DBD, I feel like I would get bored. Not gonna lie. If you're a survivor and you're going in and you're just trying to like win the rounds and all that kind of stuff, I feel for me personally that it would get very, very, very boring. Now last night we played customs where me and four others of the community, because you could have 4 survivors and 1 killer. We played together. We kind of switched people out, switched roles. I played the killer. I played survivor. Killer is a little bit more fun. However, if you play with people that are, aware of what to do and how to do it, and, you just get like sideswiped as the killer because before you know it, the gates are open and they're exiting. If you don't know what Dead by Daylight is like one person's a killer. They have to run around and literally eliminate the opponents, the team that's trying to restart these generators. And once they have 4 generators restarted, it takes a long time, right? But once they have generators restarted, these gates open and you can exit the level, and that's how they win. Very simple concept. However, the game is pretty complex. Why? There's a lot of reading. And I'm not a fan of reading in video games. Now, let me tell you, when you play customs, you have full access to all perks. So every person has different perks and all that kind of stuff. And you can equip a different loadout. You can equip a little tool. You can do this. You can do that. Different perks, 4 perks, blah, blah, blah. You can equip 4 perks, okay? But when you play customs, everything's unlocked. There are 10 pages of perks. And the rows are like 7 by like 3. There's a lot of perks. How the heck? There's just too much. You go to one, you hover over it. It's got a full Bible length explanation of what it does and when it does it. And one thing does 3 different things and percent this and percent that. As a new player, way too much. As a new player, way too much. However, I can understand why people devote so much time, because if you devote more time, you get to learn these things and know how to play and what to use and all that kind of stuff. So when you do play online with people, you got the best loadouts and all that kind of stuff, right? I get it. But I really think that there's a spectrum of people either loving Dead by Daylight or people that are just like don't care about it. And I think it has to do with the replayability of like it kind of get boring. Like it's the same thing. Depending on, I mean, if it's a different killer, it's a different killer, right? I get it. But also depending if you got friends to play with, to the point where others are like, you know what, I'd never play that game ever again. It's not for me. I played like once, twice, 3 times, maybe, and it just wasn't it. I don't think there's this middle ground of like, yeah, on occasion I really like, popping that game in and, playing it, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if it's like that. So I played DBD for the first time. It was a community challenge. We did laugh. We had a good time. I'm not going to lie. But as a gaming experience, is it the best thing that I've ever done? No. As a community stream experience, was it good? Yes. So as a streamer, as a content creator, you have to think about not necessarily what is good for you, but also what is good for the community, right? So I think a lot of people who like the game are people who just like game out. There's a huge DVD community, but like I said, I think they all belong to the part of the spectrum of I love the game. There's people who have said that their friends have put like 5,000 hours into it. That's a lot of hours. I don't know how many hours in, well, 24 hours in a day. Do the math. It's like 17 years worth of time on the game. So with that being said, if you're at that spectrum and you love the game, I think you're part of that community. You love it. You play it no matter what, and you just enjoy it. You just love it. But if you're not and you're a casual DVD player, I think you're going to get like, one, you're just not going to do well and it's going to be not fun. Or two, you just don't have the friends to play with because you're not some like dedicated player to it, right? Um, but as a community thing, I think it was fun. Would it be a little bit more fun to do it again in terms of getting more people in? I got to play games with people I don't usually get to play games with because they play that type of game rather than like a Warzone or a Valorant or a shooter or something like that, right? It opens up the door for content wise, but opens up the door for community integration and participation as well. So, some pluses, some negatives, some pros, and some cons. It was all right. It was all right. So, anyways, I guess the message of today is try something new. You never know what could happen. And as always, thank you for listening. We'll catch you next time. Cheers.